right, good
Gentlemen.
people. Good people. What's up tonight? What's up?
Welcome.
What's good, my brothers?
What's going on, fellas? How's everybody doing?
All right,
Yo,
fellas.
Queen in the building. Peace and love. Happy Tuesday to you. Indeed.
Man, it's good to see everybody, man. Welcome, Margaret Nick, our number one stunner, our number one fan.
Bless up. Bless up.
Hey, guys, we got a good one tonight. We got a good one, man. We having the second part of our political roundtable with some real powerhouses from all over the country, not just locally, but from all over the country. And we're going to give them a chance to introduce themselves when the time comes and get a little bit of their background and the process. But tonight's going to be a good one. And audience, as always, we tell you that this is the show where your opinion matters. So tonight is no different. Feel free to voice your opinions, your questions, your comments, because you're a bigger part of the show as we are. With that being said, how's everybody doing tonight?
Beautiful.
Doing good, my brother.
All right,
What's up, Mr. Arden? What's going on, brother?
Doing wonderful. Want to shout out Mimi. She said, hello, fellas. Everything
What's
is
up,
good.
Mimi
You
Lee?
know,
Beautiful Mimi Lee. Hey, Mimi.
Mimi Lee, what's up, Mimi Lee?
Look like Arden froze. Mimi must have shocked him or something.
Yeah.
So pick it up, Kenny. How about you, brother? How you doing? Where you at tonight? What part of the country?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm still here in Jersey, man. South End boy in Jersey, you know, just maintaining, doing what I do. Good to see you, brothers. Good to see everybody in good spirits and in good health.
No doubt, brother. No doubt. I'd like to welcome your better half, Lady Ed McCoy Adams, to the show tonight.
Hey, baby, you're upstairs. How are you?
Awesome. Y'all know what to do when you join the stream. Like my good brother Armand Wallace. What's up, brother? My fellow Washington Commanders fans. You know, we took it on the chin, but we're gonna be back strong next week. So
Did we really have to bring this up?
not even worried about it. No doubt. So you know what to do. Check in whether you're on YouTube or thank both of you for jumping on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you decide to catch the stream. You know, this time of the show is we kind of warm things up, so you can just share to your page wherever you are, so you can invite more people to put eyes on this great conversation we're about to have tonight. And we're waiting for Arden to get back on, but who's that, Q? We got checking in.
Oh, we have Always Blessed joined us tonight. How you doing? It's great to have you with us. And truly, you're right, because we're all always blessed. So thank you. It's great to have you with us tonight.
And then we got Miss Dupree, too, I think, jumping on tonight.
Miss Angela Dupree, how you doing, Angela? Welcome to the show.
What's going on?
Good to have you on with us tonight. Always a pleasure.
Arden must be having a couple of technical difficulties, but we'll see him. And Kenny, if you can, in the meantime, can you see if you can contact our other guests in the meantime, so she could...
Yeah, she's restarting her computer right now. She'll be on momentarily.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Well, look, like I said, we got a spiritual debate. About a few weeks back, not about a month and a half, but maybe 2 months now. It's been a while. We started our series, which is called our Election Roundtable series. But we'll have 3 shows talking about various aspects of the 2024 presidential election and all the other races that also run. Okay, there's Arden. Let me see if I can get him back on here. Arden, you out there? Arden, can you unmute for a second? There he is. He's back. I don't know if we got audio. But
Welcome back, brother.
Okay. But yeah, the Election Roundtable, we'll be talking about various aspects of the 2024 presidential election. Tonight, the first one we had kind of a one-sided affair where we had most people that represented the voice of the Democratic Party. But tonight, we wanted to mix it up. So we wanted to bring both sides of the spectrum and give some perspective to everybody so that they can see what's going on. So we have a couple folks, when we get around to them, that introduce themselves, that represent the GOP perspective. And I think they're going to bring some real quality insight to their perspectives and their reasons behind why they support the ticket. And look, we want to hear it. We want everybody to be well informed as best as possible and hear all aspects of what's going on. The Night Brothers show, where every opinion, what's your slogan?
Your opinion matters. Well, your opinion is important and it matters. Your opinion truly matters.
Hey, this will help you. Hey, my apologies, man. My power went off for a second.
Wow.
Link. So, we live and direct. Peace and love. Definitely, please feel free to put in any questions you may have, especially today. We want to get a scope of what people feel and what people are thinking, because we really want to take a pulse of America right now. So if you have questions that may come across your mind while we're talking, please type them in. We'll slide them in. You know, you the most important person here, for real. Peace and love, Pamela Williams. And we want to thank Pamela Williams, Mimi Lee, everybody in the place to be that is here to see the KBS show. Oh, peace and love. Dupree came up right on time to make it poetry. It's incredible. So we want to thank everyone that support us. You know, definitely the best nation is donation. So please, let me let you know if you feel like you want to have a little donation out there or throw a donation out there, please. $KENNED, KENNEDIZZLE 1113. Please. Peace and love. We're going to keep it moving because we have a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm sure this is going to be very interesting. So, get your questions together, y'all. Q, tell them what's popping.
Oh man, we got a very, very interesting show on tap tonight. And you know what? Sometimes we have multiple beverages, and that's a good thing. You know, so we can be out somewhere and we have a couple of beverages. Well, sometimes it only takes one good beverage to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? So tonight we have a tasty beverage on tap. Tonight, that drink is going to be the KBS Election Roundtable number 2 with our special guest, Mark Anthony, Mr. Kelly McKell Williams, Miss Melissa Klink, and Mr. Howard Powell. And man, I want you guys to listen in to them tonight because they're going to give their perspectives on this election, presidential election, and you can form your own opinions after hearing from each one of them. With that being said, Lenny, back to you so we can get this thing cranking.
If y'all ready for the guest, dropping one in the chat group for me, please. Drop one in the chat group. Give it a welcome to the show to our guests, to Mark Anthony, Mr. Kelly McKell, Miss Melissa Klink, and Mr. Howard Powell. We want to bring them to the stage right now. So y'all, you know what to do, family. You know what to do. Drop it on them. Give me some love. Taking time out of their day to join us on the Night Brothers show.
Welcome, party people.
Welcome, everybody.
What's up, everybody?
Good to see you guys.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Cheryl, for dropping that one. And Cheryl, you got that hospitality.
That is.
That Annapolis, Maryland hospitality that know how to welcome people, make people feel good. I like that. Who else can follow behind Cheryl? And look, while you are welcoming or dropping your ones in the chat group, we want to go around the horn and just have the guests introduce themselves, tell a little bit about who they are, where they are in the country, what's going on, what political party that they most align with, and all of those beautiful things that go along with that. Melissa, you want me to change you over? You're good.
What do you think?
You're good.
All right, hold on.
Okay. So while you getting yourself together,
let's start with Kelly Michael Williams, Lenny, if you don't mind. And Kelly, Michael, could you just tell us a little about yourself, about your background, your party affiliation, and things of that nature? Please, go ahead, take your time, brother. Go and do so.
What's up, Q? What's going on, Lenny, Arden, and Kenny?
Yeah.
Pleasure to be with you guys again.
Yes, sir. Good to have you.
It's always good. So I'm here in Washington, D.C. I am a business owner, entrepreneur, former political consultant. Sometimes I still do it. Elected official here in Washington, D.C., an ANC commissioner. Have run for office, have run campaigns, worked in the federal government, state government, local government, more than 25 years of experience in combined with all three of those. And I'm glad to be with you. What else you need to know?
Who's your football team? Who's your football team? That's what I want to know.
Come on.
It used to be the Cowboys.
I'm
with you. I'm getting ready to fire Jerry Jones, even though he owned the team. He need to be fired. Okay.
I'm with you on that, bro.
So who
Okay,
just
Mark
won that?
Anthony, man, would you give us a little bit of your background, your party affiliation? Just tell us a little bit about you, brother, so our audience will be familiar with you, if you would, Mark. And thank you for joining us, Mark.
Absolutely. You guys got a lively bunch here. I like it.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I've been born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. So currently I live just about 40 minutes west of the city. And I resided here for probably the last, I'm 53, so probably the last 40 years of my life I've been in this location.
Wow, okay.
I've been a police officer for 27 years, so I'm getting close to
27
retirement.
year. Woo.
Yes. Shout
years.
out.
Like
Shout
yourself.
outs to you, brother.
Big ups to you, brother. Big ups to you.
Congratulations.
Yes, indeed.
Before I was a police officer, I was in the Navy. I went to the Navy 6 days right out of high school.
Jeez.
So I got thrown into work, and about I don't know, seemed less than a year later, I was over in Iraq in the Iraq War.
Jeez,
So
man. Yeah.
so I spent almost 2 years in Iraq. So I've seen a lot of things that are going on over there, and I'll tell you what, though, it was probably the best experience of my life, traveling around the world and seeing that aspect of life, and being in law enforcement as well. I've seen just about everything. So you name it, I've probably seen it. But
I can imagine.
You'd be surprised to know I am a conservative. I've been a Republican probably for the last 8 years, but I was born and raised in a very liberal Democratic family. My family's very liberal. They're Democrats. So you can imagine the conversation we've had over the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
But one thing that I learned with it, we learn to be respectful. We all have our opinions. It's never personal, and that's the way I've always taken my politics. Never personal. And but I'm glad to be here, man. So I'm looking forward to this little chat we have tonight.
Thank you.
Well, good, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Melissa, are you ready to go there?
I think so. I don't know why I'm having so much issues with my internet tonight. This never happens. So I'm on my phone now, so hopefully you guys can see me. So I'm Klink. I am a political consultant, but I'm also the congressional district chair in Georgia for District 7 for the Democratic Party in Georgia. Now for probably about 10 years. I actually just came home from a protest, so I was running behind a little bit.
I saw that.
The former president was in town today for a town hall focused on women because he realizes he has a women problem and he's trying to close that gender. So that's here, and so the women of our county wanted to make sure that we were out and represented. So we had about 300 of us show up, and I wouldn't say welcome him to the county, but we let him know that he didn't have the support here that he could bank on in this officially red county. So we've been out there a couple hours. I just got home, and like I said, I'm sorry about the internet issue. So hopefully on my phone will be okay.
Oh, you're fine. You're just fine. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Howard, Mr. Howard Powell, could you introduce yourself, man, and tell us a little bit about you? Don Crypto.
Unmute
Could you
yourself.
step your mic on, Howard? Unmute yourself.
While he's unmuting himself, listen, somebody said welcome back because they're familiar with you and Kelly as well. Not your first time appearing on the Night Brothers show, so definitely audience still remember you, which is a great thing while Howard's getting himself together.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. We got you. Go ahead.
I don't know what happened. I got to put my headphones on. Okay. I was like, I guess everything needed to be in my head. It was good though. Appreciate the opportunity. So a little bit about me. Look, I was born in an entrepreneur. Well, my mom was an entrepreneur. My dad went to work. I've been in business since I was 13. We opened a bakery when I was 13 years old. So 30 years in the business, brick and mortar. I did 8 years in the banking industry. I'm now in the financial industry, in the auto finance industry. I'm also a comedian, so you know what I mean. I do a lot. I invest in crypto. That crypto boom, I was all part of that. And I believe in bridging the gap. And my party affiliation, believe it or not, I'm a registered Democrat. I've always been registered Democrat. However, you know what I'm saying? It's by a string at this point. You know what I'm saying? So my alignments are switching because as I get older, you know, I just realize a lot more. So, you know, that it is what it is. So I'm here. I'm ready to enjoy the night. So let's go.
Awesome.
Well,
awesome,
great,
awesome.
man.
Welcome.
Thank
Hey,
you for
well,
joining us.
We're gonna go over the quick ground rules. Like I said, last time when Michael and Melissa was on, we had the same ground rules, but we loosely followed them. So rules of engagement. Due to limited time, panelists may not be able to respond to every question. Number two, the host will ask, one of us will ask a primary question to one of the panelists, and then kick it around the horn as much as we can so everybody can hopefully have a chance to answer. But if not, we'll have to keep the show moving. And then Arden will be the unofficial timekeeper and will give a distinguishing sound if one of the panelists exceed 3 minutes. You know how when a pastor comes to the church and they have like 15 pastors at the church and they say everybody, or at somebody's funeral or something like that, they ask everybody to come up and then they say keep your comments to 2 minutes, or somebody gonna come get you. Well, I'm gonna be the come get you person if you go too far. All right, is that okay? So look,
Sandman.
The Sandman, exactly, on the panel show. So look, let's check out this 2-minute video, and then on the other side, we're gonna dive right into the questions, folks.
We're now just 3 weeks away from Election Day, and the race for the White House is tighter than ever. Both candidates, Harris and Trump, are pouring every ounce of energy into winning over the remaining undecided voters. The battleground states are the key to victory. The campaigns are focused on Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, and Michigan. Knowing these states will decide the future of America. Each candidate is pushing hard with their closing arguments. One is hammering on the economy, promising to reduce inflation and bring jobs back to struggling industries. The other, emphasizing healthcare, climate change, and the importance of protecting democracy. But it's not just the candidates making waves, it's the voters. Across the country, volunteers are working nonstop, trying to get every last voter to the polls, especially in those swing states. Early voting is already underway, and turnout is expected to break records. With 3 weeks to go, both parties are watching every vote come in, knowing it could be the difference between victory and defeat. 3 weeks may seem short, but in politics, it's an eternity. Every speech, every ad, every handshake could change the course of this election. The finish line is in sight, but anything can happen before November 5th.
All right.
All right. Where we are at this point, guys, and with that setup, we're going to go straight into our panelists, man. And we're just so happy to have you as a part of our panel tonight, all of you, and we appreciate you taking this time to join us. With us. And with that being said, let's get started, man. Let's get started with our first question.
Everybody want to know. Now, look, audience, when we throw the question up on the screen, our questions are a little long-winded tonight. We're going to cover a couple of main topic areas. I think abortion is one of them. The economy is one of them. I think the border is one of them. And I forget what the other one is. Then we have some ancillary questions that we want to ask, too.
Hold on, Lenny. Before you... Is it a way to turn the music down a little bit? Because it's more music than... Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm trying to listen with the music. I was more bopping. I'm bopping. I'm ready to go.
It's like a party up in this joint.
Yeah, it's a party. It's a party.
But yeah, like I said, the 4 main subjects. I remember 3 out of the 4: the economy, the border, which is extremely important, the abortion rights, and I think something to rights to democracy or something to that effect. So anyway, we're going to dive into those questions tonight. And we're going to start off with Arden asking the first question, and then you can pick who you want to answer first, Arden. Oh, I'm sorry, Q. My bad, Q. You on tap tonight. My
I thought
bad.
maybe you shifted gears that time. Okay, let's get started here, guys.
Yeah.
This first question, and Mark, you're new to the panel, and I'm going to come out with you out of the gate. This first question will be directed to you, and with subsequent follow up by Michael and Melissa and Howard, if at all possible, as we have with time constraints. With economic issues such as inflation, job security, targeted tax cuts and reforms, the healthcare situation, and things of that nature, who do you feel has a better plan for long-term recovery and stability? And the main thing is, will the middle class, who the economy is really built upon, will they be able to thrive under that particular candidate? Mark, that question goes to you first and foremost.
Well, this can go in so many different directions depending on who you want to listen to and who you want to, get your data from. But I keep it simple, and I'm sure you guys will want to debate with me on this, but I keep it simple. I remember how my life was under Trump and his policies and what he did in his 4 years as president. And I lived a lot better then than I am now. So you can look at figures, you can look at numbers, you can say someone had this employment rate, this, so-and-so had, this employment rate. Look where our economy is right now. Look at what our inflation rate is right now. Look at where it was. And I know people are going to say, let's talk about COVID, right? Both presidents got hit with COVID on both ends, the beginning and the tail end of it. So you have to factor that in if you want to be honest about it.
Yes.
But look at where we are with the inflation now and where it's been and the cost of goods that haven't come down. It costs me a lot more every month to feed my family, to put gas in my car, to buy goods and services than it did 4 years ago. So I just look at how my life was. I keep it really simple because you can get very complex if you look at people's analysis on both sides of the spectrum and the finger pointing that goes on. But when I look at my checkbook over the Trump era versus over the last 4 years with Biden, it was a lot different, and I lived a lot better underneath Trump's policy. So that's all I really have to say. I mean, I don't want to point fingers at who was better, who was worse, but I look at the real deal and how I'm living right now. I was far better 4 years ago than I am now.
Okay, thank you very much. Michael, could you respond to that if you would, or tell us your opinion? You don't have to directly respond to him, but give us your opinion about the question in its essence.
Well, what I'd say is most people will say that they lived better 4 years ago than they do now because of inflation, because of prices being higher. But they have to remember and understand that what Trump inherited was 75 to 80 months of straight growth, job growth under Obama. And in 2 years, he lost it all. So while you look at the 4 years under Trump, you have to include the COVID years. He lost 20 million jobs. So a lot of people lost their businesses. A lot of people lost their homes. A million people lost their lives. So when you look at the totality of it, I can't understand why anybody can say 4 years ago they were better off than they are today. Outside of the supply chain, which has caused the inflation that we have right now, which is a result of COVID, the policies that you have right now have brought inflation down, have put more money in your pocket, have saved you more money, has increased your salary, and the stock market and every economic indicator has shown that under Democratic administrations, America does better. We've now just hit the highest rate mark of the stock market ever, 43,000. So when you look at the economy, when you look at the money coming in, true, not everyone is feeling it. So not everyone is able to say that they are feeling the economic rush, but you also have to understand how and where you came from. Under Biden, we've had to dig out of 20 million job recession and build that back up. And now that that's being built back up, you want to now go back to tax cut. Well, the tax cuts is what also puts us in the deficit and the decline that we've had under every Republican administration. I told you last time I was here. Under every Republican administration since 1953, we have lost jobs and gone into a recession. And every Democrat since then has brought us out of it. Most notably, Clinton, Obama, and Biden. You look what happened under Clinton. He brought in 14 million jobs, or 22 million jobs. Under Obama, he brought in 14 million jobs. And now under Biden, we've gotten now not only 20 million back, but an additional 9 million. So, yeah, when you look at it, you got to look at the whole kit and caboodle. You can't just look at those first 2 years, because those first 2 years, those were Obama years. Those last 2 years, those were Trump years. And he didn't do the job that he needed to do to prevent us from going into the depression that we went under, recession we went under COVID. COVID hit us. It took us out. It's still taking us out. People still haven't recovered from it. So given what we have right now, we've done a pretty damn good job recovering from COVID and getting back in place. But we also have to understand that the supply chain, getting goods to America, getting goods from one state to another state, that's what caused the inflation. Because now we have price gouging. You got gas prices going up. We didn't have that before because everything was running full. Everything was flowing. But once it stopped, just like a hurricane, every time we have a hurricane, gas prices go up. And then they never come back down. Why is that? Because the corporations and the people who are running those operations, they're keeping the money. You can't tell me that in Midwest, Ohio, where I just left, gas is $2.22, but in DC it's
$3. Hold on, where is that? $22.
In Cincinnati, Ohio. Ohio. I was just out there in Indiana. I was just out there a couple of weeks ago. Gas was down at $2.29, $2.39, but in DC it's $3.35. We're getting gas from the same people.
So Michael, I have a question for you to follow up with that then. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but most people, as Mark was saying, most people think about their pocketbooks. And how do people reconcile the fact that eggs are $5 and things of that nature, and their gas here in this area is higher than in the Midwest? How do people reconcile with that? You know, they're going to blame somebody.
Absolutely. And we always do. We always blame whoever the president is. The president has no control over the inflation. The president has no control over really the economy, quite frankly. But we always put up there. We have to blame someone. We have to hold somebody accountable for it. So we hold them accountable. The idea is that those same oil companies, the same food suppliers, the same trucking suppliers, they know where they can then get extra money. It's just like anything else. It's supply and demand. Supply and demand is going to require and cause money, costs to go up or costs to come down. When you have oversaturated the supply, prices come down. When you undersaturate the supply, prices go up. It's basic economics.
Can I ask one question about the job creation? You said Biden, you said Obama, and you said Clinton. How many jobs were created? How many jobs were created under Trump prior to COVID?
I mean, prior to COVID, 9,000.
That's it. I don't. If you said
9 million. 9 million. Okay. I'm sorry, 9 million.
Okay. I just wanted to see if there's any job creation, because you made it seem like there was no job creation or anything going on.
No, there's job creation because of the.
You said 9,000. I'm like, geez, that's the worst person.
No, I meant 9 million.
Okay.
There's job creation.
Okay, so it was job creation. It was the lowest 5%, the lowest African American unemployment in history under Trump, right? So that's a whole.
That's under Biden right now.
No. Okay, so of course, because Biden's the president, right? But under Trump, it went to the lowest, right? So you gotta give credit where credit is due. If unemployment was the lowest that had ever been under Trump, right? So yes, the pandemic happened, right? So prior to that, though, there was no problem. So it's hard to say that somebody's pockets is not affected. Like you're saying, like people are imagining that their pockets aren't decreasing. Like literally, people's pockets are decreasing every day. Inflation is outrageous, and then you say you can't blame the president, but you blame the president, right? The whole political scene is saying if Trump is the president, this, and the third. But at the end of the day, for the last 16 years, 16 years out of the last 20 been Democratic rule, right? So
No.
we're not no. What do you mean? What do you mean you had Obama?
What I'm not saying that you cannot blame the president, and I didn't say that you couldn't blame him. What I said is that Trump inherited Obama's economy. Trump didn't create the economy; he inherited an economy. Those 2 years that he had, those first 2 years, that was the residual of Obama's economy. Obama had 77 straight months of job growth, and it carried into Trump's presidency. Those jobs were created under Trump. He gets credit for all that. But he also gets credit and responsibility for COVID and the million deaths and the depression or the recession that was caused by that. So he has to
So
also
what
take
Biden what
responsibility
Biden
for that.
get credit for there was more deaths after Biden took for COVID after Biden became president. So is Biden responsible for all those deaths as well? Because it's easy to blame Trump, but there's more deaths under Biden when it comes to
There was
COVID.
more than a million deaths under Biden.
Yeah, there's absolutely. You can do the research up 100%. There's more deaths of COVID under Biden, right? The people were dying at large rates underneath of Biden. So you really have to look at that. So when you look at that, so when you're saying an economy was inherited, right? So you just said the stock market is higher, the stock market is great, everything is moving, right? Are you crediting Trump with that because technically when Biden have inherited that economy? Right when Trump be the result of this highest stock market and all of that based on your analysis, if Trump inherited from Obama and he only had this amount of credit because of that, wouldn't the same thing happen with Biden? Wouldn't it be because of Trump that now we're at the highest stock market? Because under Trump the stock market hit the highest that it had ever been. Right, this is a true fact. So it's easy to say now, oh, we rebuilt and now it's high. It never really dropped low enough to really, take a hit to come back. The stock market did.
Actually, it did.
So it's still riding the Trump train.
The stock market hit a low, and it took a hit in 2020 and 2019 and 20 when we were going through 2020 we were going through the pandemic. It took a low, and in 21 it took a low. What Biden inherited was the 20 million job loss and the million people dying. He didn't have an economy to inherit. There was no economy. We were all sheltering in place. We were at home. The economy
we definitely had an economy because there was finances, there was pension, there was businesses being saved. At the end of the day, right? You're looking at how much money went. You can look at how much money was going into the communities, whether it be from PPP loans or where it was stimulus. It was money that was flowing into the economy. When Biden took over, there's no money flowing to the people of the United States.
So let me help you with that, Howard. So when Biden took office and they passed the PPP under the Democratic controlled legislature, yes, money flowed into the economy or to the people. But my point is that people lost jobs. People were losing jobs. They had lost jobs for that last 2 years. In 2021, when he then signed the American Rescue Plan and they then started, that's when jobs started coming back. And so those jobs have come back. Now we have reached the highest point on the stock market. The highest point was not reached under Trump. It's reached Trump now. That 40,000 is the highest that has ever been reached.
But prior to Biden, wasn't it Trump?
Yeah, but he never reached 43,000.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Like, this is the whole thing. Like, if you reach a highest under Trump, it's not he had a he didn't have a bad economy. Trump had a wonderful economy while he was the president. He controlled it. If you're a terrible leader, your economy is going to suffer. To think that you have bad leadership and your economy is going to survive is crazy. I want Melissa to say something.
We're gonna move on.
Gentlemen, I want to get a woman's perspective on this. Melissa, you heard both Michael and Howard. Great spirited debate, guys. I love it. I love it.
And Mark, I see you down there taking notes too, Mark. I see you taking notes.
Gotta take notes.
Melissa, what's your response to either what Howard or Michael just said?
Well, I'm totally in agreement with what Michael said. I'm sure that's not surprising by any means. I think it's also double speak to say that we know that he inherited the first 2 years from Obama, and the next 2 years were COVID. Trump failed in his attempt to lie to the American people repeatedly and let us know that it was just a flu, that it was just a few people who were sick. And it was where we were in the stage of the pandemic, which is why there was more deaths under Biden. It was because it had spread to more people because of failures from the Trump administration. 4 years ago, we weren't able to go outside. 4 years ago, we weren't able to go to church without worrying about being sick. There is no question that I and other Americans are much better off than they were 4 years ago. I don't think, Arden, to your point, that eggs are $5 anywhere anymore. I know that there was a time period where that was happening. I can honestly tell you that I am much better off than I was 4 years ago, and that once that unemployment rate dropped back down, it stayed lower and longer than at any other time during any previous administration for Joseph Biden. So the economy added 15.7 million jobs, and the number is now 6.3 million higher than before the pandemic. So we know that the first 2 years we dipped into a recession, but we did not dip into a depression, and that is because the Biden administration was in charge. And
Melissa, I want to ask you. I want to build off of something you just said, and I want to bring Mark in just for a second.
Yes, Mark.
Because you both said something similar. Now, Mark, you're in the Chicago area, right? And I think Melissa, you're in the Georgia area. Mark said earlier that this is the economy he was in much better shape when Trump was in office, and you
His
just
life
said this. Yeah, his life was much better. You just said the same thing. Based on what you both said, transfer that over to the middle class, not just yourselves, but the middle class. Melissa, we'll let you go first since you're the lady, and then Mark, we want a response.
Okay, so I will say that this is something I've thought for a while. When bacon was like $12 a pack, if we had all used our collective power as consumers and worked together and just didn't purchase those products that they were obviously price gouging on, corporation the rate for corporation profits is up 36%, and that is something that the Harris administration is ready to take on is price gouging and taking advantage of when times are hard. So the reason, Mark, that you're feeling the squeeze is because your dollar doesn't go as far as it used to, and that's because of corporate greed. So we have to come together and make sure that we're putting the blame on the right people and make sure we're putting the right people in Congress who are going to hold those people accountable. That's my opinion. That I feel like as a consumer because of the way that I grew up, that I know how to be frugal. I know how to stretch my dollar. So there's certain things. I'm not much of a consumer anyway, so I'm a lot different than more people. It takes me a lot to go shopping, and I'm not buying high dollar items. I'm not doing any of those things. So there's choices that I make to make sure that I can make my dollar stretch in times of feast or famine, right? And so if you felt like you were in a feast situation, that meant that you needed to do exactly what you probably want our government to do and these corporations to do, and realize when there's less money to go around, we're making better decisions about what we're doing with our dollars. So I would say that we need to not let corporations off the hook. We know that their profits are up. We know CEOs are getting paid very handsomely and paying minimum wage workers, and wages have not kept up with the price of rent and the price to own a home. And Harris has a plan for both easing the rental cap. She would like to have a cap on the rental increases. And I think that we are going to need to see some local ordinances. It's not going to just be the national government, because we're going to have to talk to our boards of commissioners and our state house and our state senates and make sure that they're writing legislation that is pro American dream, rather than allowing corporations to purchase up. I think there's something like 80% of the housing that was purchased in 2020 in Atlanta was by corporations, and then they raised the prices of rents. They raised the prices of what it would be to obtain that home, and then they kept them empty because they could afford to do so. So then it had a false sense of a bubble of real estate of being more expensive than it is, which raised property taxes. I can't tell you how many people think that the national government, the federal government, has something to do with their property taxes, and they really don't. It's really our local leaders where that falls on. So I think knowing how all of this works, so that you know who to be angry at and where to put your vote, is really important when we talk about the economy.
Mark?
Well, so I do agree that I think some of the corporations do hold on to their profits longer than they should, and there should be some regulation on that. Absolutely. I don't think there's any definitive data that actually shows that's happening. But when we talk about the economy and who runs their economy better, let's just look at the inner cities right now in Democratic-run cities. They're crime-riddled, poverty is the highest, and they're run by Democrats. So when you talk about who's running the economy better, just go into your inner cities and look at what's going on. I mean, I live by Chicago, and I know tons of Chicago police officers and what they go through. And if you listen to the people of Chicago right now, they don't like the Democratic Party, and you're gonna have a lot of people going to the Republican side. Is it enough to change Chicago from a blue to a red? Absolutely not. I mean, Illinois is primarily a red state, but Cook County is the biggest population in our state, and it's Democratic, and it pretty much how they vote, the state goes. So that's just how it is. That's just the way it works out. But you know, I look at it, if things are going so well, and in the Biden-Harris administration is doing so well, how come that doesn't reflect in the polls then? Because if you look at who people trust more on the economy, it's Trump. And if they were doing so well, these polls would be lopsided, and they're not.
I would like to rebut that. I'd like to state that
Mark, hasn't that gap closed a little bit in the polls as far as who people trust on the economy? I've seen polling where that gap is closed somewhat. Have you seen that kind of polling as well? Anybody else seen that kind of polling as well?
Yeah, the gap's close a little bit, but it's still, they favor Trump in the economy. So, but if it was going so well, like Melissa said, if it was going so well and they're doing so good, then you would think the Democrats would be polling so much higher in the economy, and they're not. Actually, Trump is doing so much better in the polls than he was at this time when Biden was in office, a lot higher, and they're freaking out. So, you know, people are going to die, like we talked about earlier, Q. The diehard Democrats are going to vote for Democrat no matter who the candidate is, and so are the Republicans.
Correct.
That's what I'm hearing.
That is true.
Let me ask a question real quick, Lenny. Let me ask one quick question.
Yes,
because here's when it gets to me, is because politics has changed so dramatically over my lifetime. It's sad, realistically, even the conversations people have in back to back. Who did what they did? Who cares? Who's got a plan right now to help American people not pay 25% for a car? That used to be loan sharking when I came up. So are the corporations running things? Hell yeah, they're running things because they got a job that you go and have to run for, that they get $500 million to get that job, $500 million to run to get to be the president. The president don't make over $500,000. That's already corrupt. But the bottom line is, who's talking about what everybody's going to do? Nobody has a plan anymore. Remember, people used to have to come out and say, this is my plan. This is how much money my plan will show. And you could proof that plan. But nobody's saying, well, I can't say nobody's saying a plan. There's not too many plans coming from the Republican side right now. So what would be that plan they could outline? Or even Democrats?
To Mark's point, though, it's the same thing, though. If the economy is so great, why wouldn't Kamala Harris just be able to highlight those things of the Biden economy and continue to run on those same things? What is the change necessary for? Why is you promising things that's not happening already? If your economy is so good and people aren't feeling this burn, if you're taking, as the vice president, if you're taking on this role now, becoming the president, where is the continuation of this goodness? That's the whole problem. If something is good, why are you changing it? You should be building upon it. And there's no voice out here saying, well, this is good and we're building on this. Everything is now, oh, we're going to do this. We have to change everything. Now they're changing. If it's working, why are they changing?
Boy, the
Because
economy is
I
a
think
hot,
it do
is a
be
hot,
a change.
hot.
Any-
I said economy is a hot button. But look, we want to get in other questions about other aspects of the election.
Hold on one second. Melissa, you're gonna, but I'm gonna
I
let
was
you
trying
go first.
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I'll let
Melissa.
you
Go
go
ahead.
first, and then I'm gonna come in on that as well. Go right
Go
ahead, Melissa.
All right, thank you. I just want to say that I'm sorry, Mark had to say about violent crime in cities and a lot of what Howard is saying also just sounds like Republican talking points. It's just like you just watch Fox News and you just wanted to
But I'm not a
repeat.
Republican, and I don't watch
I'm
Fox News.
okay. I let all of you talk, so now it's my turn. I think I'm going to say Kamala. I'm speaking now. So violent crime actually gone down.
Talking points is a must.
That was great. That was funny, both of y'all. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Studies show that a 9.1% drop in murders from 2020 to 2023, and data from more than 200 cities show a continuing decline so far this year. So I just wanted to make sure that I added that because it's something we hear from the right every time. They say, "Oh, Chicago this, Chicago that," and they're not actually talking about the data that you say that you want and you claim that you respect. So that is why I wanted to make sure I said that. Michael, please go ahead.
So, to Mark's point, traditionally, Americans always believe Republicans are better on the economy because they're always talking about tax cuts. But those tax cuts never reach the middle class. Those tax cuts are always for the 1%. And they're always for business and corporations with the idea that if you cut taxes for a business or corporation, they're going to then reinvest that money into their company or into the people, and it's going to trickle down. That was that old Reagan trickle-down economics that has never worked. Because what has happened is every time you give a company a tax cut, that company then buys back shares, and then they just get themselves richer. That money never goes to the employees, and they never hire any more people. So what they do is they do more with less people. They don't hire enough people, and that's why you consistently have skewed numbers of where unemployment numbers are always saying high and low, but then those are the people who are in the job market. There are millions of people who aren't even in the job market. And as I indicated, the economy never works under Republicans. Since 1953, every Republican has lost jobs and every Democrat has recreated those jobs. You can look it up. It's free data. We're right here on computers. Look it up and Google it.
Well, let's move on to another
All right, so
topic.
can we move on real quick? But I just want to say this. Obama had the largest deficit of any president over the course of 8 years. That's why they're very careful when they talk about Trump raising a deficit in only 4 years, because Obama had the largest deficit of any president. So I just want to state that too. So we can go to the next question.
Let me
It's a
correct you
fact.
on
You
that.
can Google it.
Trump and
We gotta go. We gotta move on. We gotta move on. We gotta move on. If Obama did, yes or no, did Obama have the largest? Did
No,
Obama have the largest?
No,
Okay,
he did
all
not.
right.
Trump
Fact checked it.
Trump added a quarter of the deficit that we have right
In
now.
4 years, I understand that. 4 years,
In 4
but
years.
in 8 years, Obama has the largest deficit
Now,
of any president in 8
you're
years.
gonna ask the question, they gotta
We might
respond.
go over
That's how
the
we
rules
do.
again.
No.
Let me respond.
So, what was the
In
question?
4 years, Trump added a quarter of what our deficit is. 25% of it came under Trump in 4 years.
I'm not arguing that. That's why I said people are very specific to say Trump raised the deficit in 4 years. People are very specific to say that, but they don't want to acknowledge that Obama had the largest deficit of any president that has been in president for 8 years. That's a fact. You can fact check it. There's no argument.
We'll go back.
When he came in the office?
We'll go back to those. We'll go
From
back
the
to.
time he was in office, over the course of 8 years, he raised the deficit larger than any president that hasn't taken the office. Period. That's a fact.
Look, we want to shift the conversation. The economy. We could probably spend a whole show on the economy, but we do want to get a couple more segments in about, and we want to shift to abortion rights. So Arden's going to throw a question out, and then you can pick whoever you want.
Given this state of the stark difference between Trump's state-by-state approach and Harris's federal approach for the protection stance, how should America balance these opposite opposing views on abortion rights. And what do you believe the reproductive uh, rights look under Trump, or how do you think that will play out Harris? But realistically, let me ask the lady, because realistically, I'll tell you, any man shouldn't be making this decision. So I'm just saying, I don't have anything. All I have is an opinion. She has factual
So we know,
feeling.
but we know that two women have already died because of restrictive abortion policies in Georgia. We have Amber Thurman and I think it was Candy Miller. They bled out in the parking lot, and the reason why they bled out in the parking lot is because the doctors said that they weren't sick enough to treat them yet. One of them was a mother, and one of them was headed to nursing school. So, and that is already a result of these restrictive abortion policies. And what people don't understand is when you create these extremist views on abortion. I mean, I saw a comment the other day online that I really couldn't understand where it came from as a woman. And they said, well, I believe in it, with rape and incest. And someone commented, and she was a woman, and she said, no, any life is a life. It doesn't matter how it was created. And I think that that's disgusting. So I think that it's nobody's business what your neighbor is doing in their bedroom and what they choose to do with their lives. But we're not even talking about abortion. What we're talking about is people losing their lives because they had a miscarriage. And they needed a DNC and they weren't able to get it because the doctor had to review legislative policy or was scared to lose their license or scared to be jailed in some states. Every time that Donald Trump tells you that independents and Republicans and Democrats wanted to go to the states, he's a liar. He's lying every time he is saying that. Nobody that I know, no woman that I know, no grandmother that I know, no aunt that I know wants her daughter to have less rights than she had, and than she had when she was growing up. And no one should be treated differently as far as healthcare options based on your zip code. So there is not a man on this call who has there's no procedure in any of your lives that a doctor will have to check with the legislators to see if they can provide for you. So that makes us second class citizens.
Hold on, say that again.
Say that one more time.
Statement. What was that last
There is
statement?
no procedure there's no medical procedure that any of you would need on this call that a doctor would have to check with legislative policy to see before they perform that procedure on you. And to do that to women makes us second class citizens. And I'm sorry, that's not freedom. So I will continue to fight for my right to have an abortion, my right to take care of an ectopic pregnancy, my right to not bleed out in a parking lot. And I will do so for other women too. And I do not think that this is going to work out the way that men think that it's going to work out with, because more and more women who don't look don't look like Democratic voters, aren't involved in politics, are paying attention to the restriction that has been placed on their lives and the government minding their business. And I think that Tim Walz said it best, where everyone should start minding their own damn business.
I never thought of it that way.
Howard, I see you have your hand up, Howard.
Hold on, saying something, right? Oh,
How would you want to respond?
Yeah, I just want to ask Melissa a question. So you said Trump is lying when he said, what is Trump lying about when it comes to reproductive rights?
we can talk about this all day. So every time that he gets on stage and he says, he is constantly, I think it was in a debate and then another speech that I saw him say it, he says, I think it was like maybe an interview, 60 Minutes, whatever. He didn't do the 60 Minutes because he wouldn't do it. He was scared. So when Trump said that everyone wanted to go to the states, and that it was Democrats, independents, and Republicans who wanted to go to the states. That's not true. That was never true. That is what he's doing there is a politician's trick where they repeat a lie, and so you think it's the truth. Why would any Democrat who supports being pro-choice want to bring that to a state? So that tells me that the state that you live in, Howard, if you have a wife, your wife has different rights and responsibilities, and the ability to seek medically necessary health care is different from where I live in Georgia. And that makes her.
You both in the same state.
I just want to say, I'm trying to figure out what is he lying about his stance? What part of his stance against what is he lying about as far as his stance? What is he saying out of his mouth? Yeah,
I've answered the question, but I'll do it again. So he is lying about when he says that everybody wanted it. This is what he gave everybody. What
I'm saying as a person. No, I'm saying as a person, he said that he believes that abortion. He said rape and incest. He believes you should be able to have an abortion for that. So all the things that people come that are the extreme cases, right? Those things that he believes IVF, he believes in that, but extreme cases, he believes abortion is okay. So he's not lying
We
about
don't
that. He's saying,
I'm,
he believes
I'm gonna keep
IVF
it.
because he realized that conservatives also need help bearing children and that he
no,
was losing support. That's what happened. Every time he backpedals, it's because he found out he
but
polled
I
wrong.
don't see any policy. I don't see any policies that he pushed. Any policy that he pushed forward that says that he wanted full term abortion with no rules and no regulations. I've just never seen no policy.
Can I interject,
That's
fellas?
also a
It doesn't
lie.
exist. It doesn't
Melissa,
Her
may I
exist.
phone went out.
interject?
Her phone went out, and I was just saying. I just said that to say this, right?
Chopping up
So
because it moves.
if what he's saying again, people were just saying, oh, he just picked people just to do Roe versus Wade or undo Roe versus Wade. If he picked,
That's what happened.
again, I didn't see that. I didn't see him picking him just for that, right? Because that's not what I see. If you want to see
Why
that,
did
that's
he
fine.
he's
Hold
never
on.
had any sexual experience?
Let-
Excuse me.
I want to hear
The,
some.
the woman he had no trial experience. Yes, he did. He picked her specifically for her stance on abortion, and is
So, but
disingenuous. And I will not stand for it on this call for you to say that that's not true. That's exactly what he wanted. His donors and the people on the far right told him that they wanted him to overturn Roe versus Wade, and he has bragged about it until it started showing in polls that it didn't work out for him. So that is not true, Howard, and we will not allow
what
that.
I'm saying is Roe versus Wade has been overturned. It happened under Obama. I mean under Biden, right? So we understand it's been overturned. So now he's trying to give everybody. He's trying. Hold on. He's trying to give state. He's trying to give each state strong control over their reproductive rights, right? And I don't necessarily. This is not necessarily my case because it's women, right? But at the end of the day, if you say two women, right, and two women went through bleeding out in the parking lot, right? Out of how many women, right? If you have
Hold
any
on. You
hold
could
No
on,
never.
hold
fact.
on, hold on,
So
let
the
me
one
It
finish.
doesn't matter how
Hold on, let
many,
me finish.
Howard.
Can I finish? Out of any medical procedure, whether it's back surgery, whether it's kidney transplant, any kind of medical procedure,
combat
the
surgery
only
or kidney
finish, I let you
transplant.
talk. Excuse me, I am speaking, right? So at the end of the day, when you're telling me there's medical procedures, any medical procedure that you go through, matter of fact, you can watch any commercial that come on late night about a pill. It tells you that death is a possibility. There's a 1% chance in every major medical percentage. So I'm not saying that any women should die from a procedure. And if I had to be, if I'm not mistaken about the abortions, I'm
Howard, because
sorry.
I'm the one that cuts everybody off. So, pardon
Okay,
me. Let me take some of this time back.
hold up.
Uh,
Let,
My bad.
let me let me
just
interject.
let's keep it moving because there needs
All
to
right,
be a response to that. And
let me
go
let
ahead,
me let
Mike.
me educate Howard because apparently Howard doesn't understand. Donald Trump specifically said that a woman should be punished for having an abortion. He also said that he picked his 3 Supreme Court justices specifically to overturn Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was overturned under Donald Trump, not under Biden. The 2 people that died in Georgia, your home state, died because the doctor would not perform the abortion procedure that they needed. Trump's policies are directly conflicting with the U.S. Constitution, which says a woman has a right to choose, which the Supreme Court overturned. Now, my brother, if you do not know your own man's policies, don't come up here on this show and try to explain them because you don't know them. We know them better than you do because those policies have put women in danger. Every woman in America is in danger of losing her life if she gets pregnant because she has to travel to another state in order to have an abortion. Because there are 37 states out of the 50 states that have restricted abortion in this country as a result of the Supreme Court ruling. And those states now require and have women traveling to other states to have an abortion. The 2 women in your home state died because they did not get the treatment and they could not travel to another state.
If I'm not
Howard,
mistaken,
I know you will want to respond, but if I can,
all right.
I just want to hear Mark's perspective, because just
Yes.
because you're in different regions of the country, what would be your take? You in northern Midwest, Chicago, Illinois area. Mark, what's your stance on what everybody has said in relation to abortion right now?
Well, I'm one that calls balls and strikes, so I'll call it when I the way I see it, but I call it fair. This is a losing issue for Trump. plain and simple. The statistics show it. The polling shows it. I do believe women should have a right to have control of their body. Even Trump's wife, Melania, feels the same way. What I don't agree with is the vast number of women that have unprotected sex, that get pregnant of their own doing, not incest, not rape, stuff like that.
Hold on. Let me stop you right there, Mark.
Let him finish.
You can't say any woman got pregnant by herself. I'm just saying.
No. I'm just
saying there's a person with them. So nobody got pregnant by themselves.
If that's the case, they can make the decision together.
Let him finish, though. Let him finish. Let him go. Let him finish, though. Go ahead, Mark.
Let me finish. All right. I fundamentally believe if it's the exceptions have to be very clear as to when women should have abortions or can have abortions. Especially if it's a medical necessity. Doctors should not be afraid to save a woman's life because they're afraid they're going to lose their license. I don't think there should be a law in the books that prevents that from happening. However, there are a lot of people in this world that cannot have babies that would be phenomenal parents and give these children a phenomenal life. And we kill way too many babies in the womb when it's not a medical necessity just because they can't afford it or they don't want to bring a baby to term. And I think those are lives lost that could potentially be very successful and thriving people in our world. And I don't agree with that portion of it, but at the end of the day, I do believe women should have the fundamental right to their bodies. This is a hot topic. I think it's a loser for Trump in any way you look at it. And I'm a big Trump supporter, but I don't agree with him on this. Unfortunately, I don't.
That's a rational.
I can respect that, Mark.
I respect that, Mark. I respect that.
Hey, I'm with it. Like I said, that's a woman. It definitely is her. It's 100% her right to choose, but it's not a man's issue. At the end of the day, you can argue points to it if you say to women, I don't think no doctor should, be losing their license. However, I don't think abortion should be used as birth control either. And so if you're losing millions and millions of babies, it's not because of rape and incest. It's normally because of unprotected sex. And holding a woman accountable to say, hey, you should use safe sex, practice safe sex, that's too much. If you say that, you're coming down on women. You can't, it's on two people, but if you look at a woman and say, hey, you should practice safer sex. If you tell a woman you should practice safer sex, she gets offended. And at the end of the day, it's her body. So if a woman gets pregnant and a man wants to keep it, it's not up to him. It's up to her.
Boy, it's hot up in here, boy. Both subjects been extremely hot.
But
Kenny, why don't you pick us up?
Asking men to get neutered, though. I mean, really, you
right.
Have a vasectomy. You got a vasectomy paper.
All right, Kenny, you up this? You up, Kenny?
That's not the term.
The only thing I just want to make sure before we move on is just that abortion is healthcare, and it is important to know how to treat a woman through all stages of pregnancy, and that requires that they know how to handle abortion, and that it requires that they know how to handle ectopic pregnancies. There's millions of people who are able to be parents because of IVF. All of this is just none of the government's business. This is a medical healthcare decision, and it should be put back in the hands of the people it affects most.
All right, Kenny, you're up.
Yeah.
Drop the mic, Melissa. Drop the mic, Melissa. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah. I'm with you. It's you, a woman, had a baby, or don't.
Everybody brought up some really good points, very pundit points. But this here is something very close and personal to me. Trump's continued denial of the 2020 election results. I think he even said recently, it might have been today or yesterday, that there was a peaceful transfer during his. I'm sorry, guys. It's not really funny, but I'm laughing to keep from crying. This is the thing I ever heard. He said there were about 500 to 700 people that showed up, and there have been 1,400 people charged in this event. But anyway, we'll get back to that. How does Trump's continual denial of the 2020 election results impact the public trust in democracy? What consequences does this have for the 2024 results? he's already alluded to the fact, oh, there may be some problems if I'm not elected, and blah 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 blah. And I want to get a point from each and every one of you. So I mean, I'm not going to ask you to keep it really close, really short, but we are stressed for time. But I want to start with you, Michael. And has the surge of this misinformation become the new norm? And how dangerous is this to voting society and public safety? I'm gonna start with you, Michael.
Thanks, Kenny. It's dangerous. Bottom line, it's dangerous. Trump has befriended all the autocrats across the world. And as a result of that, he's learned how to basically provide disinformation out there so that people will start disbelieving that the elections are fair and that the elections are conducted properly. So what he has done and how he has done it is basically continue to tell his lie. As they said, the big lie, he's continued to tell the big lie, and people are continuing to believe it because no one is pushing back against it. And as you continue to do that, you'll continue to get people to disbelieve that the elections are fair. To the point where in Georgia, when there was the special election, he told everybody, don't vote by mail. But then he went and voted by mail, right? He voted by mail. And then that way, that's how Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff was able to win, because Republicans didn't vote by mail because they were afraid to vote by mail, when traditionally Republicans have always voted by mail. That's how they've always won elections. They've won elections because they've always voted by mail, and they banked millions of votes before election day. Democrats would show up on the day of. If it was raining, if it was too late, if it was dark, they didn't show up and they didn't vote. And so Republicans would always win. That was the case in my home state of California. That's the case all across the country. So when Trump started telling these lies about if I don't win, it's rigged, that's the old playbook of what he learned from Putin, he learned from Erdogan, he learned from my good in China and everywhere else. Is that what they do? They don't want you to be able to vote. Because if you're able to vote, then Republicans lose. Whenever there's a high voter turnout, Democrats win. When there's a low voter turnout, Republicans win. That's been the case for history. Every time Democrats win, it's because of high voter turnout. But that's why now we have, well, you can't go to the polls. You can't give anybody water in Georgia because you can't now give them a chair because you're buying their vote. But here's the case. In Georgia specifically, and the wealthy counties in Georgia, they have multiple election machines. So much so that they don't even use them all. But in the inner city or in the high black and brown populations, they don't have enough voting machines, and the ones they do have don't always work. Recognize that every election cycle, there is always a case where someone on the Democratic side is suing to keep polls open longer because the machines have broken down in the black community. Why don't they put the same number of voting machines in the black community that they put in the rich white community? They don't do it. You do not have lines in rich white communities. You only have lines in the black communities. Why is that? Because there's not enough machines there, and they continuously allow it to happen. So yes, it's dangerous, because if Trump is the only American in America that can win an election, how is that? How is that he's the only one that can win? If he loses, then somehow it's cheating. But here's the other thing.
It's rigged.
The only time we've ever had cheating in elections is by Republicans. In Wisconsin.
Wow.
You had Scott, the governor's chief of staff, voted twice in Wisconsin. You had Mark, what's his name? Donald Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows voted in 3 damn elections in 3 different states.
Woo.
He still hasn't been prosecuted. But you have a sister in Texas. You have a sister in Texas who is given and told that she can vote. She votes, and they then convict her and send her to prison for 5 years. You have a brother in Florida who comes out of prison after they passed the constitutional amendment saying that felons can vote. He's given a ballot told he's on the voter roll, he votes, he gets arrested 2 weeks before the election in Florida. So why is it that the black folks get locked up, but the white folks can vote in 3 different states and nothing happens?
Well,
Yes.
Great question, Howard. Great segue, Michael. Howard, coming to you from the state of Georgia. First of all, do you think there was there really a peaceful transfer between Trump and Biden, like Trump said?
So
And what do you expect in this election? Win or lose?
So I really think when Trump was saying that, I'm thinking he was thinking like the day he left the office, like when he actually left the White House. I don't think he's referring to actual January 6th, right? Because that would be outrageous, right? So we understand what happened on January 6th, right? We understand what happened on January 6th, and so this is the thing, right?
What
Obama
happened
said
on
that
January?
the white people was mad, bro. What you mean? Like that's what happened. Like this is the thing, right? We can sit here and act like people are all upset. This was a threat on our democracy. Actually, it was angry white folk, right? And so at the end of the day, when black folk get angry, we just go to the wrong places and loot and rob. We go to Walmart, we tear up our own businesses, we tear up gas stations. We just don't go to the Capitol or the courthouses, right? Now that's
What would have
really
happened if we showed up at the Capitol, Howard?
Listen, at the end of the day, if we showed up at the Capitol, the only instance that you can look at is back in the 1970s when the Black Panthers showed up with their guns. Like that's the only example that you would have, and there wasn't any shots fired, right? So anything else, you would be mentally projecting what might
Did they
happen if
strike
black people do
anybody?
something, right?
Did they kill anybody?
No, that's what I'm saying. They didn't, but they went up there with guns, though. So that's the thing, right? They went there with guns. So at the end of the day,
That's
what I'm
the
saying
same
is,
thing.
I can't. They don't never shoot them black people when they at Walmart and they at the gas stations. They ain't shooting them. They looting. When the George
It was
Floyd
a
riot
young-
was going on, they not out here just shooting and taking them down. So what I'm saying is what happened January 6th is just how those white folks and some black that was in there, the minority, that's how they expressed their anger, right? So that's what happened on January 6th. He didn't tell them go down there and do that. He said peacefully, whatever. At the end of the day, you can't control what people do. Like people want to act like he can just wave his wand and people going to do what he want to do. It's a fallacy. Like that's so far from the truth. But I want to discuss the
That's
fairness
not
of the
far from the
elections,
truth,
right?
Howard. That's not far from the truth,
He
Howard.
incited a
Because
riot. Any one of us would agree.
Trust me, listen. Ain't none of y'all Trump supporters. So you can't say, hey, if he make like I am. If he says do something, I'm not gonna run out there and do nothing. You know what I mean? So
let's
it's
get
hard.
to January.
Listen. At the same time,
Howard,
Obama
you're
could say Obama could have said anything to black folk, and they would have went and do it.
But they're not going to
But Howard,
listen.
you're correct. We're not Trump supporters, but we're also intelligent people.
When
Trump did was
when
fight a
Trump
riot.
said
I mean,
leave
if
the
you don't see
Capitol,
that, not okay.
I mean, what I'm saying, you're saying he
Hold on,
incited.
one at a time, guys. One at a time. One at a time.
Listen,
Please.
I'm going to go to you real quick before I go to Mark.
Hold on, can I just finish what I was saying about the fair part? That's what I wanted to talk about real quick.
Go ahead.
Just the fair part.
Finish your
Obama said that the safest and fair elections, the elections is fair, right? Mikhail just said the same thing though. They're trying to insert that elections aren't fair, that they are fair, and Donald Trump is trying to insert because he knows these aristocrats that the election is not fair. Let me tell you, if the election is so fair, why, when Trump won, they spent 3 years prosecuting him for Russian interference? They didn't just credit that man with the election and let him win and let him go about being the president. They prosecuted this man for 3 whole years about how he cheated to win the election. Furthermore, when they was running against Biden, Hillary Clinton explicitly told Biden not to concede and continue to fight. So when Trump does it, all of a sudden it's the problem. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, but listen, I'm going to get your point real quick before we get to Mark.
and please address that, Melissa, so I don't have to.
I actually thought you were going to Mark. You need to go ahead and go to Mark and let me come back to me.
Go ahead,
Okay, Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
Give me your take, Mark.
All right, so I think we could have a whole show on January 6th.
No doubt.
We've had one. Two.
Let's put it this way. First of all, from a police standpoint, anyone that caused violence and destruction, regardless of who you were, should be held accountable, absolutely, for property destruction. All right, that's just plain and simple. However, I want to bring up a couple points that we don't talk about. All right, so you had Kamala Harris, who was going to be at that time the first African American vice president ever. Pretty big deal, right?
Wait, I'm in the camera.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty big deal. So she's at the DNC. There's this alleged pipe bomb there. Someone tried to possibly assassinate the first female black vice president ever in history. And this story is a nothing burger. The cell phone data of the alleged offender is corrupted. The Secret Service phones were all confiscated, and we got new upgrades, and none of those text messages are available. The biggest cover-up, I think, is the cover-up itself. No one's talking about it. It wasn't a part of the January 6th Commission, but God forbid Grandma took a picture on the grounds of the Capitol or in the rotunda. She's going to jail. I mean, so this doesn't pass the sniff test. And I am not condoning the violence that happened. If you did violence, then you're on camera and you cause damage, you have to be held accountable, period. But there's a lot to this story and a lot to what happened that day that we're not talking about. And like I said, we can get into a whole other program on it. But as far as election denier, I can play you a video right now of 20 minutes of Democrats denying election results over the last 10, 20 years, right? They do it on both sides. So to point fingers about who's denying elections and stuff like that, I think is very hypocritical on both sides. I don't think that saying the election's rigged and this and that goes well for Trump. People are tired of it. But at the end of the day, if you trust and look at the polling, people don't care. It's so low in what's happening in their lives. They don't. It's so old at this point. They don't care.
So you're saying that January 6th insurrection is so old that people don't care about it anymore? Is that what you're saying?
I say
people
that.
don't care about that or just saying election.
It's not going to sway the election one way or the other. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know, I'm just
Like, why are you angry about January 6th? Like, why? I don't understand why people are so angry about January 6th.
Just the fact that we're even having this discussion about an insurrection and a potential future insurrection is ridiculous to me. I mean, I don't know.
Are all riots wrong? Are you just as angry about every riot or just the one on the Capitol?
That's not a riot, Howard. First of all,
it's absolutely.
I think it was Melissa's turn to respond. Melissa, go ahead.
So January 6th was a stain on our country, its history. So January 6th was a riot. It was incited and led by Trump. Donald Trump was told that Mike Pence was in danger, and he said, "So what?" That has just been recently released. There was a noose for Donald Trump as well. Sorry, not Donald Trump, for Mike Pence and for Nancy Pelosi. And do you know that during the Civil War, there was never a time where the Confederate flag was ever in our White House? And on January 6th, that Confederate flag was paraded around the White House. So how either one of you can align yourself with people who have those same kind of values is just shocking. And you having been former law enforcement, I agree. And I'm really glad that you acknowledged that the damage that was done, that they needed to be held accountable. Ashley Babbitt died a traitor because she knew as a veteran that she was trying to breach a secured area and what would happen to her when that happened. The fact that they have made her a martyr is pretty disgusting. So I know that I was watching C-SPAN when it happened. So I heard the whisper that said they have breached the Capitol. I have friends who were Congress people who were in there during January 6th. Andrew Clyde was is a congressman from our 9th district, and he was running for his life on January 6th. But then he said it was a tourist visit. We had Marjorie Taylor Greene. There were several other members of the Republican congressional delegation that gave them tours of the Capitol grounds before the day of January 6th, the weekend before, and made sure how they could get there. And this was all, and remember Kelly Loft before Warnock came, and she owned the Dream in Atlanta. She was one of the owners of the Dream in Atlanta. She spread the big lie. She spread the stop the steal. And if you go back and watch footage of that when they reached the Capitol. It was the first time that white lady was ever scared in her life because she's never been around actual violence, and she realized that she played too much, and she got people who really believed that it was stolen, so they made an action to defend what they thought was the right thing. I feel sorry for people. At the same time, I'm very curious to ask if Mark or Howard has ever spent any time in their local board of elections to find out how it actually works. Because what I had to do in 2020 was that I was the county chair of my Democratic Party, and I had to appoint 3 different rounds of people to count those ballots and make sure that all of those match. Those are all volunteers that had to be coordinated. I did that as a volunteer service for my county and my country. And if you have not done that, if you can spread the lie that Stop the Steal was a real reality, you haven't gone down and done your whole.
Well, this is breaking up a
And
little
you
bit.
can.
But look,
Everybody can volunteer there. They're always looking for.
Because we have to wrap this up.
Always looking for
Okay,
volunteers. Yeah,
I wanna-
this is still
look.
effective.
I want to go to our lightning
I
round, and
I
unfortunately
give me
we
one
got to.
second, King.
Hold up.
Did you need me to stop?
Let me
you
commend
were
Mark.
breaking up a little. You were breaking up a lot.
Go
Let
ahead,
me
Mike.
commend Mark on the fact that he understands and recognizes
You
that
got paused. Yeah, I wanted to say
wrong. Right?
Go
So
ahead,
I
Mike.
hope that he understands that with criminality is
issue.
wrong.
We
it's
are
wrong.
dealing with.
Hold on,
Well,
Melissa.
listen, Michael's talking. Go ahead, Michael.
Is it
Good
working?
job.
All right, hold up, Melissa. So I want to thank Mark for his position that criminality is wrong and that those who violate the law should be held accountable. As a former law enforcement officer, I also agree with you, Mark. And with that understanding, it's hard for me to then say I would vote for Donald Trump being a 34 count convicted felon. So I wouldn't want to do that. And at the same time, understanding that Howard, the insurrection and going into the Capitol was a violation of law. They were not allowed and not supposed to be able to do that. So that was a riot. It was more than a riot. It was an insurrection, which is against our Constitution. It was a violation of our Constitution. So they were in violation of that, and they all committed crimes doing that. When Donald Trump said to his people, leave the Capitol, they left the Capitol. They said they came because Donald Trump invited them, and they said they left because Donald Trump told them to. So yes, he does have that power and control. Why? I don't know. But the two of you supporting and he's a criminal. So I don't understand it either. He has power over you.
We're gonna let Michael have the last word on that.
Oh,
Because we do want to wrap up our lightning round, and because of time, look, we're gonna kind of fly through these, just like it says, lightning round. So I'm gonna throw the first question out there, and I want to know. We'll come back to the border. We'll have you guys back, man. 'Cause this has been a great night. And I just want one from each side, and I want a 30-second response. That's what I want.
I got
It's
you.
lightning round. 30 seconds. Mark, you're on the clock. Will the election results be determined on the night of election? Why? Why not?
No. I think I think New York already came out and said that they're gonna have to be the mail-in ballots will be counted, and they most likely will not have the results the same night. I'm thinking you'll probably have a good idea the first night, but I don't think it'll be final for probably a little bit.
Okay. How long would you say? How many
Over
days?
a week.
How many days, Mark?
I wouldn't be surprised if it went close to a week.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Next.
Michael.
I agree with Mark. I think it's going to be probably. I'll say it this way: if Kamala wins either North Carolina or Georgia or one of those two states, it might be determined that night. If not, then it'll be determined probably the same like it was last time, about a week later.
Okay.
Very interesting answers from both of you.
All right,
Coming to this side of the house, Q asked the questions to Melissa and Howard.
Melissa, you and Howard. First of all, will you accept the election results regardless of who wins? Why or why not? Howard, I'm going to start with you and make it quick, buddy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because
Okay,
I
right.
accepted them the last time.
Okay,
I accepted.
Melissa.
I accepted it when Trump last time. So yeah, absolutely.
Melissa, I think Melissa's having some technical difficulties. She texted me. She's having some difficulties.
So, Mark, why don't you jump in on that then?
Well, Mark, will you take that then, Mark?
Of course. I mean, in whether we honestly, whether we believe it or not, there ain't nothing we can do about it. The results are the results.
Exactly. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay.
Mark,
And since
Mark, that was good. That was good, Mark. I like
and
that.
since
I give you one on that.
since Melissa didn't answer, I do want to say I believe that it's going to be determined that night by a landslide. Trump.
All right, okay.
I agree.
I like your confidence. All right, next question. Lightning round. 30 seconds. Here we go.
Since only 7 to 8 states will decide the race, is the current electoral process correct? Why or why not?
Start with Kelly. Michael.
Okay, when you say correct, what do you mean by correct?
Is that fair? Is it fair, I guess?
Oh, okay.
Is the process
Is it fair or is it fair to the other, 40 some
No,
odd
it's
states?
not fair. Actually, our elections for president should be the same way as is for every other election. It should be popular vote. So whoever gets the popular vote, whoever gets the most votes, that's who should win. We should not use the electoral college anymore. That was put in place because of the whole situation with the founding fathers not wanting Southern, slave owners and everyone else to be able to come in and be president and rule. So they wanted to put in the electoral college to be able to balance things out. Because right now, if you look at the Senate and if you look at our country,
all right, 30 more seconds.
The middle of the country has all of the things, and only the outskirts, actually help win for Democrats. So you got the middle. So the whole electoral college was put in place to kind of make it fair and balanced, because the Southern slave owners wanted to have more power.
Mark, you same question, Mark.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. I think popular vote.
You guys are agreeing on a lot.
Well, I think there's a lot of common ground here. The electoral college can be confusing. I think you take who gets the most votes wins. That's normally what an election's like.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Who gets the most wins.
All right, next question.
Oh no! Why you keep doing to me like this, Lenny?
Next question. We gotta get these questions. Howard, Howard, you up right now? Could this
you give me
be
the yes or no questions? I can't even get no explanation. It's all good.
Howard Powell. Could this be the last election America has? Why or why not? Tell us, brother.
Man, absolutely not. No, you can't. It won't be the last election. Anybody who believes that it'll be the last election is a fool. Anybody who would even pass that theory is a fool. It's never happened. It's never happened. There's no signing. There's no signage. There's no election. And if you're voting correctly, it would never happen. If you're voting for your best interest, there is nowhere on the ballots or anybody's political agenda that's running for office that is on the agenda. So absolutely not.
I'm gonna come back to you. That's 30 seconds. I'm gonna ask Melissa the same question. Melissa.
I'll get out and elect Kamala Harris. I think that is a real possibility. And I think that came from Trump himself when he was talking to white evangelicals. He said, if you vote for me in this election, you don't ever have to do it again. And last night he was at a town hall where and I'm so sorry about my technical difficulties because nobody's more aggravated than me. But last night he was at a town hall where he answered 5 questions. And then he said he wanted to use it. And he swayed back and forth on the stage for 30 minutes in front of a packed crowd. So I think what is happening is his dementia is starting to show, and what they're doing is trying to put Trump in office so that they can actually have JD Vance and we can all become Gilead. So all I can say is that you need to know that Project 2025 is a real thing. That JD Vance the intro for the people for 2025, and all of that includes taking away our ability to vote, diluting our voting power. There's a lot of different ways to suppress the vote. It's not always just about water.
All right, look, last question.
Hold on. Respectfully, Melissa, you use a whole lot of talking points to try to call somebody out on talking points. You use a whole lot of Democratic talking points. But go ahead. It's okay. Like, everything you said was Democratic talking points. But go ahead. Go off.
All right, last question.
Look, y'all making this more fun than I thought it would be. And I really appreciate y'all being spirited but respectful. All right. This question goes to Michael first. What adult beverage will be your victory drink and why?
All right, so Donald Trump said this is going to be our last election if he won. 2, Project 25 is real. It's not a talking point. And 3, I'm gonna have an old fashioned because I'm an old fashioned his ass out of here. Okay, we're gonna stir it real good. I'm gonna put it together and I'm gonna just shake it. And we're gonna do an old fashioned with a green tea chaser. Okay, because that's
Mark,
exactly what we're
Mark,
gonna do.
Mark, I think
Mark,
I got an idea what you're going to be
rebut,
drinking. But Mark,
Mark,
let us know, Mark. What are you going to be drinking, brother?
Melissa, I love you. You're a fair weather fan here, but after that Kamala Warsaw response, I'm gonna have some whiskey. Thank you.
What are you going to be drinking, Mark? What are you going to be drinking?
I'll tell you, Michael, that I already got whiskey here. I'm not too far from making an old fashioned myself. I'm pretty damn good right now.
Howard, come on, you got the stage, brother.
Listen, man, I'm not too much of a drinker, you know what I'm saying, though. But I like to the point is like when he was talking to his evangelical crowd, that's exactly who he was talking to. People who didn't want to vote. So he was telling them it was their last time, not the world, right? So context is key. Anyway, I'm gonna have me listen. Democrats hate context, right? I give you the context, you're gonna argue it. No point. Anyway, I'm gonna have me a straight Crown Apple, straight double shot. Crown Apple straight double shot. That's it.
Give you the Crown Apple. But stop sitting here trying to tell people what Donald Trump says what he's thinking. We don't need to know what he's
saying. Who? Pay attention to your audience. He don't even be talking to y'all, and y'all act like he talking to y'all. He don't even talk
He said what he said.
That's the part because you got to translate for him. This is what he meant to say. He meant to do this. That's how he really said it. So, anyways, my drink of choice is a real deep margarita with.
This is what he meant. This is exactly what y'all do. Y'all exactly try to tell Trump what he meant. Y'all the whole Trump will say something, and then y'all be like, "Well, he really meant this." Don't do that, please, because y'all never. Y'all really do that all the day. Well, Trump really meant like we're here to tell you what he meant. We're not telling you what y'all came up with.
Hold up. That's exactly what the governor of Georgia.
Y'all need interpreters. That's the problem.
That's exactly what the governor of Virginia did today. He sat there talking about what Trump really meant this, he really meant that, when you don't want to listen to what the hell Trump says. Trump says it, but then you guys try to backtrack it. He said it. Melissa, what you gonna drink tonight? I'm taking over the show.
He says it in context. He don't even be talking to you.
So what you drinking? You heard my
to a whole group of white folk, and you be like, he said to the brothers. He wasn't even talking to you, brother. He ain't worried about you.
What you drinking,
or
Melissa?
your black job.
What you drinking? Close us out.
Drinking a deep margarita with lots of salt because so I'm not much of a drinker either, but that's how it's going to go down. It's going to be one of them really big ones, like the fish bowl or something.
With salt, not sugar. With salt, not sugar.
Listen, they're going to be drinking that either way.
When we drop it, water in it, I pop champagne myself in the house.
I see you, Mark.
All right, look, y'all.
You bring us back on election night because Howard says it's going to be a landslide.
Landslide.
And it's going to happen. Mark, from being a law enforcement officer, I just don't understand how you vote for a convicted felon. I don't get it. Anybody who commits a crime.
Because convicted felons aren't bad people.
Hey, Michael.
He was convicted. He was in the court of law.
Listen, if you worried about documentation, if you're worried about data entry, I understand, Mark. Nobody's really worried about a data entry criminal. Sorry.
All right, look. Here we go, y'all. We're gonna give you 30 seconds. Last word. What you want to leave the people
30
with?
seconds.
30 seconds. What you want to leave the people with?
Go ahead, Howard. 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Listen, at the end of the day, all I care is that you vote. At the end of the day, our people fought for the right for us to vote. So as long as you get out there and vote, that's all I care about. At the end of the day, you gotta vote what's in your best interest. At the end of the day, I'm not having no more kids. I already bought my house, and inflation is crazy. And I'm waiting for I'm waiting for Trump to come up and do exactly what he said he was going to do, and what he already did, and that show that he can run a very.
Melissa, what 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
Okay, so I want to win in overwhelming numbers, crushing numbers is what I want to win in. So everyone that is listening to this and is planning on voting for Kamala, I want you to know that today in Georgia by 4 p.m. we had 250,000 people voting, and that in 2020 that number was 136,000, and then in 2022 that was 134,000. So we are on our way to setting records, like we said. That means that we are going to have to bring every single person with us. If you would like to know how to support Democratic candidates in your state, please reach out to me. I'll get you connected.
All right, Mark, on you, Mark. 30 seconds, buddy.
All right, man. Well, of course, I hope Trump wins. I believe it's going to be a landslide, but who knows? I'm just an optimistic person. But
I know.
What I want the people to understand is healthy debate is good, and I think we proved that tonight. That we can be from all walks of life, different sides of the aisle. We can all be civil, and we can hash out our differences in debate. That's what this country was founded upon, and I want to see more of that in the world. I want us to be able to talk out our problems, not fight them out, not attack each other, but be able to talk about them on the debate stage. And may the winner win, man. Trump.
All right, Michael, you wrap it up, Michael.
Thank you guys for having us again. Certainly, I want to thank Mark, Howard, and Melissa. Listen, get out there and vote. Bottom line, get out there and vote, because if you don't participate in the process is going to participate in you, and it's going to take you out. So at least be out there and doing something. It's the old status. If you're not in the game, if you're not on the field, you can't play the game. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. All those things are true. So you got to get out there and participate. You got to get out there and vote. Vote smart. Vote your interest. If you got an interest with Donald Trump, vote that. But if you got an interest to save this country and do something better and continue to create opportunity, then vote for Kamala Harris. Don't worry about her being a female. Vote what you need to do. All right? Let's do that.
Hey, look, on behalf of the Night Brothers,
before the rest of the guys will take it from here, but I just wanted to thank the four of you for coming on and joining us tonight, man. It's been incredible. It really has. And I like the exchange of ideas. I'm hoping that win, lose, or draw, that we can gather again sometime, maybe post-election, and maybe do a recap of what took place.
Hey, Q. We got 3 weeks left, Q. If I can get, if I get off, I got a quick question. Can I get all 4 of y'all to commit to come back one more time before election?
I bet you $50 when Kamala wins that Howard is going to be very busy that night. He's not going to be able to.
No. Hold on, you didn't hear the question just now, though. Let me repeat the question again.
I said before the election, can I get all 4 of you back on for one more show?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Mark, you good with that? Howard, you good with
it? Since this is a recorded show, record what the polling numbers are today, and when we come back on, let's see what those polling numbers are now, and that'll tell you which direction this company.
Mark, stop looking at the polls, Mark. Stop looking at the polls. The polls don't tell you.
I'm gonna vote early too. All 4 of you. I'll be in touch.
Yeah, just make sure you take a picture of Melissa and Mikhail's smile right now, because it's not gonna look like that post-election. I just want you to go ahead and screenshot that right now, because I just want you to remember what Democrats look like when Hillary Clinton lost and they was crying. And yeah, just remember that day. Remember the sad tears.
Hillary.
Hey, look,
I'm a certainly be smiling.
You take it, Arden. Take it, Arden.
Take it, Arden. We appreciate you. We'll definitely see you again soon. And realistically, everybody, like you said, vote for your interests. But please do your due diligence and don't let somebody else tell you what your interest is. Peace and love.
Awesome talk.
And I want to echo, before we sign off, I want to echo what Mark said. Man, this proves that you can have a real spirited conversation and still be, peaceful with each other and have fun at the same time. And I think that's what America really should be. With that being said, we want to say peace and love from the Night Brothers Show. We see you Tuesday.
Thank you all.
Deuces, everybody. Hold on, guys. Hold on.